Hello guys and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. This is episode 20 of my Interstellar playthrough. I'm Newneo and let's get right to it. So first up we've got here is our little probe here that needs to do a little adjustment burn to adjust its arrival at Duna. I believe it was Duna, or was it the arrival at Eve? I'm not sure. No, sorry, this was the Duna Explorer here, and we need to make one little adjustment burn so we get there in a better time frame, and we also don't go so close to the edge. We go a little bit further inward to the system, so our adjustment burn once we reach the influence won't be as much. Now let's just do this burn real quick, and basically what we're gonna do in this mission is we're gonna look up quite a few of my probes that are sent out. We've got the Duna Explorer, the Eve Explorer, and the Galileo mission, which is my explorer that's gonna go to Jool, and all three of those will have some burns, will have some missions, and we'll basically make a lot of money in this episode that we can then spend on some nice and some fancy looking stuff in the next few episodes. Now let's just finish up this burn here quickly. Nicely done. Come on. 0.2. Every bit of a burn is important when you burn in interstellar space, when you burn so far away from your target, because every decimal point really counts towards the larger goal, or the periapsis goal. And I'm sorry, this was the Eve Explorer, not the Duna. The Duna is already on the right way. And now we're gonna take a quick look at our space station here, because we've got some science in it. 217. Because quite a few days have passed since we last saw them, and so they did some science. By the way, the days that have passed, I time warped through them because I didn't have the money to do missions, and my Duna and Eve Explorers weren't doing much. So time acceleration gets me 217 science. Everything else is working perfectly here, and I've still got 4 docking ports left here, and the 5th one with the tanks to the right that you see that I can reuse, because those tanks aren't gonna be there forever. I can send them back later. Now we're done, and we're gonna warp to the next encounter that we have here. As you can see, this is the Duna Explorer that's gonna be inside Duna's atmosphere inside Duna's influence in 30 days here. And now 30 days out, I'm gonna make myself another maneuver node to adjust the orbit that we are finally gonna get, because if I burn my adjustment in 30 days, it's gonna cost me a lot more delta V. So basically, the earlier you make the burns, the less delta V you use for them in this interplanetary maneuver. The farther you're away from it, the less delta V you need. So I'm just gonna I'm trying to edit the maneuver node here, and at first nothing was happening to the periaps. So I thought, what the hell is going on? But the periaps it showed me was the periaps in the 2nd orbit. Because I'm in an orbit of Duna, if I would just fly by and come back in my next orbit, I would intersect Duna at the same position with nearly the same orbit again. So this is really awesome. I've basically got nearly the same orbital period as Duna has. And now you see, with only 40 meters of delta V, I will get my periaps from 24 million meters to about 10 or 15, I think. And the rest will burn once we are inside the influence of Duna, because then I can see how my final orbit will look and can adjust it radially and stuff like that. So let's see what else is happening. We're gonna just time accelerate to the point where we reach Duna. That's in 20 days, and with full time acceleration this only takes a few moments. And there we go. This is nice. We are nearly here. So let's see what's going on. Let's see, where is Duna? I think it should be somewhere here already in the sky. Oh, it's behind and above us. So let's see if we can find it. There it is. And I'm trying to brighten the image up here for you. I've edited the brightness a little bit, so even on a little bit darker you should see it right, but with my mouse cursor here. This is Duna, and to the left of it, it's Moon. I always forget the name of the moon. Well, never mind. You can see them both here, and once we reach the influence of Duna, we can do some science here. We can do our temperature scans, we can do atmospheric pressure scans. Of course, the atmospheric pressure reads 0 because we are in a vacuum. It's as if we were in a vacuum. Well, we are in a vacuum. So let's just transmit that data, see what the next experiment is saying. Temperature. Whoa, that's pretty much a wall of text. If you want to read it, just pause the video and rewind it. So then the mystery goo is also gonna get us some science. Oh, only 15. Well, that's bad, but we can't return it. This mission is gonna stay here. It's gonna stay in orbit. The main part of the mission is to scan the surface of Duna for signs of good landing spots for the future. And as you can see, I'm now burning to get my periaps down. And in a few seconds I'm gonna do something really, really stupid, because this is a scanning mission. I want to scan the planet, and I'm basically in a near perfect polar orbit, and for some reason my brain just wasn't really working while recording this. So I said to myself, well, I want to get into an equatorial orbit, because then I can get to the moon easier than with with a polar orbit. And so I used up some of my fuel, as you can see, to burn towards an equatorial orbit, which was, to say the least, pretty stupid, because I had to do the opposite later on, and it cost me a lot of delta V. But we'll get to that. First up, we are just gonna time accelerate to when we are nearly at periaps. There we go. Start our equipment and see we are still too high. Now I'm burning back to get into a polar orbit again. Needed to ditch my stuff here. Luckily I've got enough delta V in this vessel, so it's not that big of a deal. Ike, that was the moon's name. Thanks for that. And now we're gonna get our periaps down enough and get ourselves into polar orbit again. And also I overshot my periaps here a little bit, 250. I thought my instruments would need 250, but they only need below 500 to work optimal. 250s are already suboptimal for them, so that I had to adjust for that later on too. But now we can add our radar telemetry and our scan multispectral sensor, and we get the first ever made map of Duna, at least in this playthrough, or at least the first few lines of the map. Now adjusting the apoaps, and once we get to apoaps again, adjusting the periaps to get it up to above 400, and now I can time accelerate through that to get a quite complete map of Duna. And I'm not gonna make you sit through all of this. We'll have a few orbits here, and then I'm gonna show you the nearly complete map that we got just in a few seconds. And there we are, a nearly complete map of Duna. As you can see, the poles are not mapped in, so I need to adjust my orbit a little bit. That was the wrong direction at first, so burn the other way. I decided to have enough fuel, so why make maneuver nodes? Just burn like that, and this is working. Nicely done. So with this little bit more polar orbit, I will be able to map out nearly all of the poles, I think, in just a few orbits. But my alarm clock is already telling me that the Kerbin to Jool transfer window is coming up in 3 hours. So I won't be able to make enough orbits here, because I will need to go back to my Galileo Explorer or my Galileo probe. I don't know why I call it Galileo. I think because of a contract I have that requires a stuff called Galileo. So that's where the name comes from for me. And there it is, in Kerbin orbit, parking orbit for 264 days already. As I said in the past episode, no real space agency would keep a spacecraft that needs to go to a planet there for this long. They would just launch it closer to the point where the actual transfer window is. But since I had time, money, and the technology available, I just did it. And now we've got a Jool encounter for 2,000 meters of delta V. This is not a problem at all, because I've still got my lifter stage that lifted this thing into orbit with enough fuel to make the burn. There we go. Make the burn with only 130 meters per second that needed to be performed by my nuclear engine. And once this is done, I can set this probe up to go to Jool for the very, very long mission to Jool. I think this will take over 1.5 years in Kerbin time. But first we need to wait the 1 day and 1 hour for it to escape Kerbin. While we wait for that, we are finishing up the map of Duna and are sending back the data once it's above 99%. This is good, and this will get us more science and also more money, because we've got missions to orbit Duna, fly by Duna, and I think orbit and fly by Ike. We also have missions to land on Duna and recover data from Duna, but the problem with that is I don't have the required technology with me to land there efficiently. I'm gonna be sending something in the future. I believe it will be a rover if possible, because I just want to be able to drive around on Duna a little bit in celebration of curiosity and in celebration of a mission that I read about recently, the Mars 2020, I believe it is. That's a new rover that will go to Mars. It's in the planning stages at the moment, and it will have a microphone with it. That will be an awesome thing. We will then be able to hear what Mars is like, or basically hear what the Mars sounds like. They tried it already in the past, but it never really worked in the past. They had one, I believe, on a Russian lander, one microphone, but the microphone got... no, the lander crashed into the surface, and they had another microphone on some other lander or rover, I'm not quite sure what, and they couldn't turn it on because it would lead to some electrical problems, or they feared it could lead to some electrical problems, so they rather not turn it on and would be able to do the rest. But in the next few years we're gonna have a real microphone on Mars, and we're gonna hear what Mars sounds like. I'm I'm really looking forward to this. So, and I'm definitely gonna keep also inform you guys of it, because I want to make some science videos in the future if you like. Because as of this month, I'm let's say, I don't want to say member because I bought it, but I'm a supporter of the Planetary Society, which means I'm regularly paying the money, and I could call myself a member, but I don't really want to call it a member. So I'm just gonna say I'm a supporter, but I also wanna keep you guys updated on some science stuff if you like. So you're gonna hear me talk about science a lot more in the future, about real life science, while I make these Kerbal videos or other science videos. This one, what I was talking about, the Mars mission and stuff, was just from memory. I'm gonna be writing some notes in the future and talking about some of those stuff in my future episodes. For now, we here have our explorer that also mapped Ike now, and now we are here at the Eve Explorer. With this one, I did a very, very stupid thing. I didn't do the 30 or 40 days prior to this change of the influence burn. So my periapse is way out in the system here, and even though I have a nuclear engine, it's gonna cost me a lot of fuel and a lot of delta V to get this periapse inside. So this mission, if I'm lucky, will be able to map Eve. Hopefully I'm gonna have enough fuel to get into an orbit, and hopefully I will have enough fuel to get into a polar orbit to map at least Eve. I'm not gonna have enough fuel to go to Gilly after that and map that, so I'm gonna need to send another mission for that. But Eve periapse below 500, that's good. Now we can start our scan. And now that we are at periapse here, we need to make our next burn and just hope that we have enough fuel to get ourselves into orbit and to get ourselves into a nice polar orbit. This is basically just around 40 degrees or something like that. I think we are just about in the same inclination as the ISS is around Earth at the moment, and so we're gonna need a lot of delta V still. I'm just burning here to get this down, and I'm waiting for periapse here. All I've got is time, so I'm gonna burn when it's nearly most efficient. So I'm burning here, there we go. Get my apoapse down, and I already see it's not gonna work. So I go to apoapse because that's the best way here, and just burn to get my inclination as high up as my fuel would allow me. So this is not the thing I wanted, but at least I get to map the whole equator region, and with this map I at least can in the future point out 1, 2 or 3, maybe 4 landing spots on the equator where I could land some future mission on Eve. All my Eve missions in the near future will be robotic, I have to say, because I want all my Kerbals to be able to get back. And now we've got 900 science to spend and 1.2 million of funds. So first let's spend the science to see what we can then build in the next episode. We're gonna get the field science because it's got rover wheels, I want that. Get the science tech because it's got the survey scanner. I need to do surveys of some moons and planets to be able to maybe start some drilling missions somewhere on the moon or on Minmus to get some extra planetary launch pads going in the future. Then what else can we get? Actuators, no. Precision propulsion, I don't need it as of now. So just get the advanced landing for landing gear and get the advanced aerodynamics for aerodynamics. This is good. This gets me air brakes and I can build some more planes. And I hope I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for watching this episode of Kerbal Space Program. If you liked it, be sure to leave a comment or click that like button. And if you never want to miss an episode again, be sure to subscribe. I hope I'll see you guys next time.